Serbia and Russia were speaking of 83 attacks. Only Serbia and Russia were speaking of 83 attacks. And let me assure you that not one single of them is an interethnical attack. These are just ordinary crimes that the Kosovar police is trying to manage the proper way, like it needs to be done in every country where the law rules. That we are ready to apply the principle of reciprocity in regard to minority rights with Serbia. So there I mean the rights of the Albanian minorities in Serbia who are facing discrimination and a kind of treatment that should not be allowed in countries who do express to want to join the European Union.
What a sad message from the representative of Kurti's regime we had the opportunity to hear today. We have heard a steady stream of insults and lies aimed at the Republic of Serbia and our president. Defamatory language that does nothing but deepen interethnic tensions and brings the region back to the past. To my concrete and well-documented concern about the position of the Serbian people in Kosovo and the extended hand of cooperation to the Albanian people, here present representative of Kurti's regime responded yet again by rejecting the normalization process with demonstrating unacceptable and insulting language. I want to reiterate once again that we do not have a conflict with the Albanian people. We have only issues with the regime that systematically oppresses the Serbian and other non-majority communities in Kosovo and Metohija. I will try to quickly reflect on just a few things Kurti's representative here said. First of all, their obsession with President Vučić is telling us a number of things. Firstly, he is leading Serbia well, and the strengthening of our economic security and foreign political position is making some of them bitter and furious. And they are showing yet again disrespect to the victims of conflicts and including genocide by using inappropriately this term. Especially this is true having in mind the fact that more than 2/3 of the Serbian community, in fact, have been forcefully expelled from Kosovo and Metohija. On the ground, they may be trying to create a different reality and expel all the Serbs through actions that are unacceptable in the 21st century. But in line with international public law, in this hall, President Vučić is your president as well. And it is not appropriate and is insulting for many people to treat him and speak in this way. You mentioned alleged lack of support in the Serbian community for the Serbian government and for Serbia's president. Well, this reminds me of something very significant. For already 3 election cycles in a row, Kurti's regime is preventing the Serbs to participate in Serbian elections. It is preventing them to exercise their basic democratic rights, and this has been repeatedly condemned by the international community, including some of the council members that are the strongest advocates of so-called independent Kosovo. Thirdly, very significantly, Mrs. Gërvalla is playing a well-known technique of dehumanization through discreditation and labeling, which diminishes empathy and creates a context in which harm or forceful removal of individuals that are target of such techniques becomes unacceptable. Let us abandon such defamatory language. Before I finish, I also want to say that I do not hide the fact that as part of my work in Kosovo over the years, I have met Milan Radojčić, just as I have met Albin Kurti, just as I have met Ramush Haradinaj, Tači, and many others who are now in prison for war crimes against the Serbian community. I unequivocally condemn any violence committed against any ethnic community in Kosovo and Metohija, but I have a question here. Why is the government of Albin Kurti withholding evidence about the incident in Banjska, evidence that have been requested many months ago by Serbian prosecution office through EULEX? Everybody in Kosovo knows about the fact that your government is withholding this evidence. And while we join in the mourning for all of the victims in Banjska, including Mr. Afrin Bunjaku, which President Vučić has mentioned publicly, we demand evidence about the killings of Igor Milenković, Bojan Mijailović, and Stefan Nedeljković. Please remember these names. Their families and the public deserve answers. Was against them applied excessive force? Was it applied in a murderous and criminal way? The public deserves answers. And finally, you have called, among other many defamatory things, called Serbia fascist. As a descendant coming from a family of Holocaust survivors, I want to draw the attention of the international community to the fact that the government of Albin Kurti is in fact renovating and has finished renovating the house of Džafer Ibrahim Deva in southern Mitrovica. He was one of the founders of the SS Skanderbeg division, as recently stated by the German ambassador in Pristina, and was one of the most prominent Albanian Quisling and associates during the Second World War. He initiated and committed crimes against many Serbs, Jews, and Roma. However, today Pristina authorities perceive him as a national hero, with schools and streets being named after him, and now he has his own memorial as well in Mitrovica, built by Kurti's government. Finally, I want to conclude that I imagine, and I dare to imagine, that we can create a totally different future if we agree to work together to protect human rights, to reject extremism, and to uphold international law. This future demands a different mindset. It demands action, not words. It demands for us to hold all those who violate human rights accountable, and to ensure a Kosovo and Metohija where Serbs and Albanians alike can live in peace and dignity. I thank you.
I thank His Excellency Mr. Gjuriq. Madam Donika Gërvalla-Schwarz has asked for the floor to make another statement. I give you the floor.
So, dear Madam President, please allow me to repeat my invitation after this meeting to come and to see with your own eyes. We are dealing here with what this Security Council is all about. We are dealing with the biggest security risk in Europe after the war in Ukraine. So the resolve of the West will decide the fate of the Balkans, and I'm convinced on that. About the dialogue between Serbia and Kosovo facilitated by the European Union, let me just repeat that our offer is open. We are ready to sign the documents that the European Union has proposed to sign. We are just waiting for the signature of Mr. Vučić, and that is not coming, but instead of that, he is just repeating every time that no obligations come for Serbia from these agreements is a bad sign. And yes, I really hope that 2025 we have a new start in this dialogue with a clear objective and with a clear strategy that enables us in a strategy of small steps when they are possible, so that we can overcome the blockage that is made by Serbia. The participation of the Serbs in the institutions of the Republic of Kosovo is a question that is very sensitive to us, because nobody expelled the Serbs from the institutions. Serbia asked them to leave the institutions. Serbia threatened those who didn't want to leave. And Serbia made it impossible for them to remain in the institutions of Kosovo, and so to be better integrated and to have a stronger voice when it is about their needs and when it is about their everyday lives and their families. So Serbs in Kosovo have started, and I believe they will continue to integrate more and more in the institutions. And the threats that are coming towards those who are already doing that, from criminal structures and directly from Belgrade, will not be able to stop those who want to live in a democratic and in a free Kosovo, in a country that will enable them to be faster citizens of the European Union, that if they would be living in Serbia itself. I believe that the message have been understood by them. So not the threats of Vučić expressed in the last measures that they have taken, which have been criticized today and yesterday very strong by the European Union, but nothing will be able to stop them in trying to build a better future in the country of Kosovo, and there they have the full support of the government, but not only the government, but the institutions of the Republic of Kosovo. The Serbian citizens in the four municipalities in the northern part of Kosovo have said in November 2022 to UNDP that that only 17% of them do trust the Kosovo police that time. We speak on 2022. Today, we have not only doubled the trust of the citizens of our country in the four municipalities, but we are working on that so that trust can increase by every day. No complaints at all from citizens of those four municipalities against the central authorities. Private businesses who are already there bring services to all citizens, not only to some ethnic groups, and not a single property damaged by the Kosovo police. So I invite Serbia, and I invite all those who are critical to the minority rights level in Kosovo. I invite especially Serbia to level up the rights of minorities in Serbia itself. We have already expressed over the time that we are ready to apply the principle of reciprocity in regard to minority rights with Serbia. So there I mean the rights of the Albanian minorities in Serbia who are facing discrimination and a kind of treatment that should not be allowed in countries who do express to want to join the European Union. So in the Preševa Valley, we are watching very carefully, and if Serbia means that the rights of Serbs in Kosovo are not respected, then we are really ready to apply reciprocity and to see which is the better example and which not. And by the way, Serbia and Russia were speaking of 83 attacks. Only Serbia and Russia were speaking of 83 attacks. And let me assure you that not one single of them is an inter-ethnic attack. These are just ordinary crimes that the Kosovar police is trying to manage the proper way, like it needs to be done in every country where the law rules. I know that the Russian representative that left us doesn't like what I said. Just 4 weeks ago, he has been highly decorated here in New York during the UNGA by Alexander Vučić. And let me be very clear about what he said with persona non grata and all the things. Representatives of this aggressive Russian Federation, who had started a terrible war against Ukraine, to erase Ukraine with the aim to erase Ukraine as a country, are really not welcomed in the Republic of Kosovo. So we will continue watching very carefully who is there and looking very carefully if they present a threat for our national security, and then we will act with the instruments that a democratic and free state has in the disposition. By the Russian representative was mentioned the Kosovo Liberation Army, again being used to give the impression that only criminals are on Kosovar side, and on Russian and Serbian side we have this everywhere Mother Teresa's. Let me say something. Together with NATO, we defeated Milosevic, and together with NATO, we stopped genocide and the killing of thousands of civilians. A lot of brave, sincere boys and girls defending their own families and defending their own country. I know that the Russian Federation, this Russian Federation, does not understand that because you deal with mercenaries, but in our case, we are very clear on that. So, I need to conclude with just a last sentence. In the document of the Serbian Academy of Science from 1986, you will find, and it is a fundamental document that served Milosevic for the 4 wars that he waged in former Yugoslavia. Mr. Zbogar will know what I mean. You will find this language that the Serbian representative has used today. 4 times you will find mentioning genocide of Albanians, 1986. Serbia was then ruling in Kosovo. You will find mentioning of genocide 4 times in this document. It's the same strategy, this is the same language as before, and I need again to ask you, please, double-check the informations you are dealing with, because you are so present as international community in our country that you are able and you are capable to deal with informations and to help us to combat the disinformation. Thank you very much.